Hi, welcome to Navigating the Truth. And this week, Dick Larson joins me. Dick actually joined me on November 13th and not the 6th. We had rescheduled, and Dick Larson's will be talking about the return of Maitreya and the Ascended Masters, as well as Share International. If you'd like to hear the whole show, go to kcrradio.com. Thank you. Major religions. He has participated in transmission meditation groups and in personal meditation for 30 years. Despite today's tremendous problems, Mr. Larson shares his strong convictions that we are now in a very special time of world change, one that offers tremendous opportunities for personal growth as well as hope for a bright new future. We hope you will find his fresh, common sense perspective of life and spirituality informative and hopeful for our future. Welcome, Dick. How are you?
I'm well, Caroline. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. So I'm going to jump right in here.
Okay.
Okay. So who are the Masters of Wisdom?
The Masters of Wisdom are people who were human beings like you and I and went through evolution ahead of us and became perfected human beings. And once you become a perfected human beings and you've learned all the lessons that planet Earth has to teach you, then you become a permanent spirit or consciousness, we might say. And then you have a choice of 7 paths that you can take. One of those paths, you are then a master. They're called ascended masters. They're called the masters of the wisdom, the guardians of the ageless wisdom, the kingdom of souls, the lords of compassion. Many names for these great, great beings. We know them as people like Confucius, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Mary, who was the mother of Jesus. Some of the disciples. Joan of Arc is one of the great masters now. And they've gone through evolution ahead of us. They've chosen the path of Earth service. And so they are on the planet or right at the planet, usually in the mountain and desert regions of the world where they don't have to deal with smog. And many of them are in physical bodies, most of them probably. And there are 63 of these senior members of our spiritual kingdom, and they have been behind the scenes. They have been the inspiration for humanity's progress. They've been the inspiration behind the great movements in art, science, industry, communication. All of these areas are because of the inspiration of the masters of wisdom or the ascended masters. And there are, like I said, there are 63 of them that are associated with planet Earth that are the senior members of our spiritual kingdom.
Wow. Wow. That's wonderful. And you said that you believe that some of them are here. They're already here.
Yes. It's time. They live in cycles just like humanity does. And it's time for them in their evolution, because you keep evolving. Once you're a spirit, you evolve in the spiritual universe. There are lessons to learn there too, much to learn. And so part of their evolution is to come back and walk amongst humanity and guide us, help us make choices. They will never, Caroline, they'll never force us to do anything ever. Okay. And that we have free will, and our free will is sacred. And I'll tell you why we have free will and why it's sacred, Caroline. Our free will allows us to choose. Right. The point is not to choose correctly every time, because we're human. We're not going to. The point is to learn from every choice. And so we can learn from a wise choice. We can learn from a poor choice. So our job is to learn and grow. And so we have free will. It's sacred because that's how we learn and grow. And so the masters would never infringe that, ever. So they will make suggestions. There'll be a master in every aspect of life. There are 14 on the planet right now. And they will make suggestions in science, in healthcare, in education, in communication, in government and politics, in finance. I mean, they will be the guides for humanity if we follow their suggestions.
Right.
And at first it'll probably be about a third of us that will, and
Mhm.
a third will take a wait and see attitude and just kind of step back, and the other third will say, look out, Antichrist, bad people, that they'll be opposed to it. Mostly the conservatives in religion and finance and government will probably be the last ones to maybe come on board with some of the suggestions, because they want to keep things like they are now. A lot of them, especially in finance um,
Mhm.
and religion. And so all the world's religions have these ultra conservatives that think their religion is the way, the only way, and of course it's not.
Right.
Every teacher taught a different path. Buddha
Mhm.
taught the wisdom of God. Jesus taught the love of God. Now,
Mhm.
this group of masters that are coming forward now have a world teacher. See, before I go into astronomy
Mhm.
and astrology, I should tell your listeners the same thing I tell everybody at the outset, and that is, number one, please don't believe anything I say, because that would be blind belief, and I can't recommend that to anybody. I'm not here to get people to think like I think or believe what I say. I'm just here, Caroline, to give out my information, and if 10 or 20 of it percent of it makes sense to some people, I'll be very happy with that. So I'm not here to argue with people. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but I prefer not to, because that's not why I'm here. And secondly, people always ask, what's the source of my information? And if you don't
Mhm.
mind, I'd like to take just a minute to reveal that. You
Yes.
mentioned it in the introduction. The source of my information is a teaching called the Ageless Wisdom. The Ageless Wisdom is a philosophy, a living philosophy. It changes as humanity changes, um, because more and more is revealed. But the Ageless Wisdom is as old as humanity, and and at first it was passed on by word of mouth, and then lately has been passed on in word of mouth and writing. The two latest teachers of the Ageless Wisdom are a woman named Alice A. Bailey, who wrote about 20 books in the 1930s and 40s. Her
Mhm.
books are available. Some of them are quite challenging to read and understand. But the ones that are easy to read and understand are the most recent revealer of the Ageless Wisdom, a man named Benjamin Creme, spelled Creme. Looks like cream, but it's Creme.
Mhm.
He's a Scot. He
Yep.
born in Scotland and then lived a lot of his life in London. And Caroline, he traveled the world for about 40 years, telling the story that we're going to be talking about today. He was asked to do that. And there
Mhm.
were supposed to be 5 people doing what he was doing, but only one person responded, and that was Benjamin Creme. He said something which I found very interesting. He said, the old saying is, many are called, but few are chosen. He said, no, it should be this. Many are called, but few respond.
Ain't that the truth?
Isn't that interesting, Caroline?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Benjamin Creme, I knew Benjamin Creme well. I spent about 30 years with him on and off. Every time he would come to New York and give a lecture. Then he'd come to L.A., Los Angeles, where I am, and give a lecture. And then he would go to San Francisco and give a lecture. And then he'd go over to Japan and give a couple lectures in major cities in Japan, and so on. And he did this for about 40 years. And so when he'd come to Los Angeles, of course, I would attend. I started about 30 years ago. And then
Mhm.
he would have a conference here where we could meditate with him and listen to lectures and so on for a long weekend up in a retreat up north of San Francisco in the national park up there. And so there were about 100 of us. And so I would get to do that. And so I spent quite a bit of time formally and informally talking with Benjamin Creme. And he's just a fascinating man. I mean, he's passed away now. He passed away a few years ago in his 90s. But
Mhm.
So I'm a volunteer. He started an organization called Share International, which is a nonprofit educational organization. And there are about 3,000 of us around the world that are volunteers trying to pass on the information that he was passing on to the world. And a few of us are doing radio like I am doing with you. And so he is the primary source for my information. And he's got about 17 books. I'm not here to sell books, but he's got about 17 books on Amazon.com. If you're interested, you can take a look at them. If you go to the Share International website, you can actually download 4 of his books free of charge. And the Share International website is SHAREINTL.org. Not .com, .org, SHAREINTL.org, www. And you can find his books. Just click on books there, and you can download 4 of his books free of charge if anyone is interested. But that's the source of my information. Now,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, like, I have looked at Benjamin Crame's information, and he really he went all over the world, like, for many, many, many years.
He did.
Yeah, very interesting.
He wasn't supposed to have to do that. There were supposed to be 5. There was supposed to be somebody in Tokyo, somebody in New York, somebody in Darjeeling, somebody in I'm not sure, Geneva, I think.
Yeah.
And they didn't respond. One of them actually thought he was Maitreya, the world teacher. That's what I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about Maitreya, the world teacher. Now, he's one of the masters. He's one of the senior masters. He and the Buddha were the first 2 human beings to become perfected human beings and become masters from planet Earth. And so we get a teacher every age. 2,000 years ago, we got actually 2. We got the Buddha and we got Jesus, about 500 years apart. And every 2,250 years about, our planet and our solar system come into alignment with one of the 12 great constellations that surround us that we call the zodiac. Now, this is astronomy. This is not astrology in the newspapers and magazines for entertainment. This is real science. We come into alignment with each of these 12 one at a time. And when we're in alignment with one of them, and if you were to go and talk to an astronomer, they would tell you this. When we're in alignment with one of them, we receive the energies from that constellation. And so for the last 2,000 years, we have been in alignment with the great constellation Pisces. And of course, the symbol for Pisces is the fish. Now, when we're in alignment, we receive these tremendous energies from Pisces, and we say we are in the age of whatever that constellation is. So we've been in the age of Pisces for the last 2,000 years. And when we enter a new influence of a new constellation, we are sent at least one teacher to bring the teaching for that time to help humanity continue to advance and evolve. Well, Jesus came as the teacher for the age to inaugurate the age of Pisces. And of course, he brought the great teaching of God's love and demonstrated God's love in a human being on the planet for the first time, the full love of God. And so, and that's why there's all these fish analogies in the Christian Bible. You know, he I'll make you fishers of men. He fed the crowd with fish. Some of his disciples were fishermen. Well, it's been 2,000 years now. And this is what the astronomer will tell you. In 1625, we started moving out of alignment with Pisces. And in 1675, we started moving into alignment with the next constellation, which is Aquarius. And so we are now halfway between the two, Caroline, and it's time for a teacher for the age of Aquarius, and that teacher's name is Maitreya. And Maitreya in Sanskrit means the happy one, the one who brings joy. And so although there will be many masters on the planet, he will be the first one to come forward on radio and television and say hi to the world and tell us who he is and why he's here. Mm-hmm. And that will happen soon. He's waiting for the best time when he can have most people's attention. And so that will happen soon, and he'll be the first one that we'll see Maitreya.
Maitreya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also goes by the world teacher. He told Benjamin Creme, just call me teacher, but Benjamin called him the world teacher because he's here for the whole world. He said, if you're in a religion and it's working for you, great, stay with it. If you're not, I come for you too. I come for everybody. That's what Maitreya is.
Well, like I had read that Benjamin Creme he believed that Maitreya was already incarnate and living in London.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes. He came down out of the Himalayas. First of all, he made his own body. I guess it took him about 3 years to get it just right. He's in a physical male body, about 6'3". He came down out of the Himalayas, and he had to kind of test drive that body and make sure it worked well, because the masters are not used to noise pollution and air pollution and water pollution and all these other things, and the whole din of humanity being around all the time. And so he came down into Pakistan, and he took about 10 days to 2 weeks to make sure his body was acclimated, because he embodies the love of God in him. And yet he wanted to still be able to shake our hand and not zap us to death, because nobody knows how powerful these masters are. I mean, they're master scientists. They don't have to obey the laws of gravity and things like that. Right. So he came down out of the Himalayas, and then he flew from Pakistan to London on July 19th, 1977. Now, the masters don't miss a trick. And if you're into numerology at all, you'll see that July 1977 is 777. And of course, 7 is a sacred number. And I kind of call that the opposite of 666. Yeah. That's why my email has 777 in it. So that's 777. And the 19th of July, the 1 and the 9 are the first and last numbers of the decimal system. He is the first and last, the first of humanity to evolve into a master, and the last one to stay behind to help humanity. He is the Alpha and the Omega. And so he flew to London, and his base of operations is in London. But Caroline, the masters travel by thought. And he can appear in 27 places at once. He can appear as an old man over here, and as a young woman over here, and as an African American over here, and as an Asian American over here. He can appear. They have control over the physical universe. And so he can appear in many places at once. It seems real, shake your hand, everything. But that's how they travel. They travel by thought. And so Benjamin Creme was in contact with one of the 63 masters. He was trained how to communicate with this master, and so he had this communication available to him. So whenever anybody asked him a question or whenever he gave a lecture, it was pretty much coming right from one of the masters.
Wow, this is fascinating. Why the number 63?
Sevens, multiple of sevens.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
See, there's seven. There's seven. The Ageless Wisdom says there are seven. We're all going to learn this when the masters start teaching it. There are seven primary energies that make up everything in the universe. And those seven energies in different combinations make up our personality, make up our physical bodies, make up everything you see and don't see on planet Earth. So those seven primary energies make up everything on the planet. So 7 is a sacred number. Now think about it. There's 7 notes on a musical scale.
Right.
There's 7 colors in the rainbow. The 7 wonders of the world. This is not 7 days in the week. This is no accident.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why 63, because it's a multiple of 7. Yeah.
And you also said that currently this there's around 14. So again, that would be a multiple of 7.
That's exactly right. I can even give you some cities. There's a master in Geneva. There's a master in London. That's Maitreya.
Mm-hmm.
There's a master in Paris. There's a master in Rome. That master is the Master Jesus. We'll talk about him a little bit more. He's back in a physical body. There's a master in Moscow. There's a master in Darjeeling, India. There's a master in Tokyo. There's a master in New York. And there's a master out here in Southern California, in the mountains of Southern California. So there are 14 men. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 3 more somewhere. I left 3 out. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. And the good news for humanity is it's not the end of the world. It's Jesus is back, but it's not the end of the world. He's back to teach and advise, just like Maitreya is. My information is that Jesus' job will be to get the Christian church back on the plan, get it back in line. Mm-hmm. All the major religions have built up so much human dogma, and rules and regulations and stuff that are not part of the original teaching for that religion and their great teacher, whoever started the religion, and that includes Christianity. So Christianity is the largest religion in the world. Actually, the Roman Catholicism is the largest religion in the world. And so there will be no more popes, Caroline. My information is that Jesus will take his rightful place in, figuratively speaking, St. Peter's throne at the head of the church, Christian church, and he will advise and guide the Christian church to get back to its primary teachings. The church is supposed to teach and heal, according to the ageless wisdom. Well, the church has done not much teaching and not very well, and almost no healing at all. So he's going to get things back on track with the Christian church. That'll be a tough job.
Yeah, I think so.
There'll be a lot of conservatives in that religion that are going to say, I'm not listening to you. And he'll say, okay, people have to recognize him on their own. Right.
Yeah.
He's not going to force himself on anybody. Neither is Maitreya or any of the other masters. We have to recognize them in our heart of hearts, in our soul, and know that that's them. And that'll be different for every person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. It looks like, can you believe it? We're coming up on a break right now.
Okay.
Yep. And this is fascinating. Yeah. Like, people have to recognize these teachers themselves. It's, oh, wow. It's really, the church itself has a huge job ahead.
Yes.
I would think.
And when we come back from the break, I'll tell your listeners how they can recognize Maitreya when he comes forward.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay, we'll be right back.
You're listening to Navigating the Truth with Caroline Bell Tumblety, where the truth survives and the lies are exposed.
I just want to assure you that everything is under control. There's been no damage except for some temporary malfunction of the radio.
Come be a part of this awakening by joining us in chat or by calling our hotline at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers, find us on Skype at KCOR Radio.
We're pushing the ultimate frontier here. Control must be maintained.
More disinformation exposed and the truth discovered. After a word from our sponsors.
1 million miles till midnight. A story of timelines, artificial worlds, simulated races, and the galactic imprint. And the destiny of a blue world called Earth. 1 million miles till midnight, written by Solaris Blue Raven, is a journey through the mind's eye which allows the reader to surf a wave of technological and multidimensional intellect, revealing a bridge between conscious design and the truth. A multidimensional bleed-through awakens the world of artificial intelligence to set sail into the frontiers of a vast multiverse, morphing planets and terraforming ascended worlds beyond the linear programs of a fated race. 1 million miles till midnight will awaken, inspire, prepare and enlighten one to the many multidimensional states of consciousness and worlds we reside in. With every cell and atom, we are this truth and multiverse. 1 Million Miles Till Midnight. Written by Solaris Blue Raven. Available now at Amazon.com. Don't wait. Get your copy today.
1, 2, 3, 4.
To the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I love the way it sounds.
Love the music. I listen all day.
The future of radio is here and now.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about, at least not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Change your frequency, change your life with the Lemurian plug. The Lemurian plug is easy to control, it's simple to set up, and wireless. It helps to neutralize toxins and has restorative frequencies for healing. It also helps to protect you and your family from EMFs. The Lemurian plug is energy efficient and designed using ancient technology for a superior design. One unit can cover up to 1,000 square feet. This life-changing product is reasonably priced. And isn't you and your family's health worth a small investment? For more information on the miraculous effects of this plug or to purchase the Lemurian plug, visit thelumerianplug.com. That's thelumerianplug.com. The Lemurian plug is like nothing you've ever experienced. Order yours today.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas is #1 source for talk and new music.
How cool is that?
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Navigating the Truth, the one show that peels back the masks of the elite and exposes the truth we're not being told.
Here to warn you. You must not abuse the power you've been given. Eventually, you will lose control of that power and the whole world will suffer.
Come partake in the awakening by calling the show at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Give us a call now.
Those around the world, connect with us on Skype at KCOR Radio. Follow us on Twitter at KCOR Radio or use hashtag KCOR. Come engage in the discussion live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com.
Our survival depends upon it.
Now, back to examining the narratives and uncovering the truth with your host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety. Caroline Bell Tumblety.
And welcome back. And we have our lovely guest, Dick Larson. And we were just talking during the break about the state of the church. Like you were saying in America that church attendance is dropping.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
and
it sure
I was
is.
saying it's picking up over here.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, things are organizations that have been built with Piscean energy, which is everything we have. I mean, you look at all the system, the educational system, the political system, the financial system, science, all of these, healthcare, all of these great institutions, Caroline, have been built over the last 2,000 years during the age of Pisces, and they have served humanity well during that time. Mm-hmm. But now Piscean energy, which is what they're built with, is being withdrawn, and Aquarian energy is coming in. And because Piscean energy is being withdrawn, all of these great institutions are collapsing. They don't work anymore. They don't serve humanity anymore. The healthcare around the world is terrible. The education system isn't working. You know, the governments aren't representing the people like they should be. And you can go on and on and on. And that's why they're collapsing, is because the energy they were built with is being withdrawn. Mm-hmm. And now they have to be rebuilt, recreated, if you will, with the energies of Aquarius. How are the energies different? The two primary energies of Pisces are individuality. Man has come out of the herd in the last 2,000 years, and dedication to an ideal. And it was dedication to the ideal of freedom that saved the world in World War I and World War II. Mm-hmm. So Pisces has done its job. Now each individual stands fully capable of representing themselves to the world without being a part of any group if they don't want to be. But what has also happened because of individuality is all these little dictators and nasty leaders have popped up around the world. Well, their time is over. They just don't know it yet. Why? Because Aquarian energy supports.
Thank you for listening to Navigate the Truth. And if you would like to hear the rest of the show, please go to kcorradio.com. Thank you.